friends, and welcome back to Generation Pixel. And if you're new to the channel, well, a special welcome to you too, because you're here for one of the pickup videos, and one of the pickup videos for the Omega collection. Now the reason I call it the Omega collection is quite simple. I have collected many times over the decades and just sold up and then had to recollect and then repeat. Pretty much like shampooing and conditioning, but this is final. This is the last time I'm ever going to collect because I'm never going to sell this. This collection here will be staying with me until I shuffle off this mortal coil and the kids can sell it all on eBay. Now, as a special shout out, I'm going to shout out Super Jimtendo because he loves nothing more than a good pickups video. And I'm absolutely positive he will sit and watch this video in its entirety. And after you've done that too, well, you could pop along to Super Jim and watch some of his videos, his pickup videos, which are absolutely fantastic, and the links will be in the description. Now, other than just pickups in the wild this month, some very special people, some very close friends of myself and to the channel of course, have sent some stuff as in the way of donations to the channel, and I am blown away, and you'll get to see them. And what I will do is I'll show them first. I'll show them first straight after the titles, so I can just give a proper thank you to the people who have sent stuff to the collection. And then also, some point in the video I'm going to throw in a giveaway, because you see I picked up something that I don't need, but I had to pick it up just purely because it was such a good price. And if you're interested in winning something, then keep your eyes out for that one item that can be heading your way. Well, it can be heading anyone's way, because I know there's people over in the States and Australia and even Japan and Germany that watch this channel, and you also can win this item if you're interested in it. Now, if you're interested in seeing the pickups, the gifts and the giveaway, well, you just wait until after the titles. As I said, I'm going to start with the gifts that were sent to myself and the channel for the collection, and let me just say straight off the bat, I'm absolutely blown away with the fact that anyone, regardless of how well they know me or not, would send something to help build this collection. So this is just a general thank you to them all, but of course they're going to get individually thanked as I go through these gifts. Now the first one, I don't know what it is at all. You see, back in a few videos ago, one of the better half boxes, I got the Thundercats ZX Spectrum game. Now, I did shout out to the eBay seller who sent that along because apparently his service was fantastic. The better half said he was wonderful, so I gave him a little shout out. So because of that, apparently he watches the videos too, and he has sent along this thing here, this red package with a lovely little note on it, and I have no idea what's in it. Well, I've got an idea that it's going to be a ZX Spectrum game, but who knows until we open it what exactly that ZX Spectrum game is. Now, don't get me wrong, it might be a Commodore 64 and it might be the king of all trolls, but we're going to open this up and we'll have a look at what's inside this for the very first time. You know what, it's just like an unboxing, so I'm going to try and do it in a way that you get to see it before me, and that seems only fair. If I can cut through this packaging. Now let's have a feel to which way it opens. And okay, there you go guys, this is what it is. It's probably upside down on me, and yes, it was upside down, and it's Riot. Now, it's a game I've never played, I don't even know what it's about, so give me a look at some of the screenshots, maybe throw in some extra b-roll of that so you can see properly. But here we have, dawn breaks over a high security prison last night. The inmates rioted. The situation is, well, it's been punched out because obviously that's where the tape spindles go. But it's getting worse by the minute. It looks like a small sort of actiony, maybe action platformer. But I'm looking forward to that one. And again, I would like to thank very much Matt from Matt Everything 78, who has sent over, well, a wonderful ZX Spectrum game that I don't have, that will sit proudly in the collection, and fantastic. Thank you very much, Matt, again. Now, next up, because I picked up the Dreamcast, Retro Ed UK, he immediately got into me and says, look, I've got a game for you that you might be interested in since you've got the Dreamcast, and I said, okay, what you got for me? And he said, would you like Shenmue? And well, of course I said yes, because even if you don't like Shenmue itself, then the arcade ports that are inside this game I hear are the best arcade ports of Space Harrier and Super Hang-On that you could imagine. So let's just have a proper look at these. Now the second gift that I received was from Mark, Geordie Slasher Gaming, you know, the UK YouTube retro gaming fan favourite. Well, he's such a fantastic guy, he's a great guy, he's a wonderful guy, and I think he was obviously getting annoyed that my previous pickup videos that I wasn't quite focusing quite as much on the PlayStation 2 as I should be, so he sent me along 3 games. He sent me along Fireblade, Resident Evil Outbreak and Shadow of Rome. 3 games that he knows that I don't have in my collection because Mark, Geordie Slasher Gaming, well, he watches every pickup video that's put out on YouTube worldwide, and was speaking to TheRetroBear not, 2 weeks ago, and we reckon he should change his name from Geordie Slasher Gaming to International Slasher Gaming, because I don't think there's a channel out there that he doesn't know, but he did know that I didn't have these games, and I'm pretty sure it's because I've been neglecting the PlayStation 2 in recent pickups. Well, neglecting them more than I should be considering what I'm trying to do with the collection. And, well, he sent these 3 wonderful games, which leads me on to the last gift. Now the last gift, not from a YouTuber as such, not a content creator, though he is starting to dabble a bit in it himself. It's someone I've known for quite a while now, a very good friend of mine, and I'm going to show you this because this is what he sent along to me. He sent along this wonderful wallet. Now the only way I can properly do this any justice is to throw up some, of course, B-roll. So let's have a look and see what's in this wallet from my good friend John. And you know what, I'll have links to some of his work down below as well, so you can check him out. As I say, he's not full time into YouTube at the moment, but I think he'll get there eventually. But anyway, the games that he sent my way, we have Virtual Fighter 3 TV, The House of the Dead 2, Soul Calibur, Sonic Adventure, Sonic Adventure 2, Sega Rally, Psychic Force 2012, Resident Evil Code Veronica, Power Stone, Power Stone 2, Jet Set Radio, Evolution, Marvel vs Capcom 2, Echo the Dolphin, Defender of the Future, Choo Choo Rocket, Planet Ring and Blue Stinger. Now, as you can see, these are all wonderful examples of Dreamcast games, and again, it was all due to the fact that I picked up a Dreamcast not that long ago. And there you go, a good friend sent along these. Now, they're not in boxes, I know, but you don't play the boxes. And if at some point I can source the boxes, I certainly will source the boxes and manuals. But at the moment, this is just a fantastic collection of games that's been sent my way from a friend. I'm absolutely blown away by it, and I'm looking forward to being able to truly experience the Dreamcast library, because there's a good selection of different genres and titles in there for me to get my teeth stuck into. So thank you again, John. Now that's all the gifts to the channel done, and I just honestly can't thank you guys enough, but all the links will be down there for any relevant information you need to find these guys and check out their channels, because they're wonderful people, and well, we're a wonderful community, and we do this for each other from time to time, and probably very often actually. Anyway, let's get on to the pickups from the wild then. The pickups from the wild, I like to start with the current generation and work my way back to the older generations. So starting off, I got another PS5 game and Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Now, I have just finished Odyssey for the first time, even though it's been out for a while. Obviously Valhalla's been out for a little while as well, but I won't be diving straight into this because they are getting long and complex, and they've got so many side quests these days, the Assassin's Creed games. They are fantastic, I still absolutely adore them, but I'll probably be about a month or two before I finally try and stick my teeth into Valhalla. So that was the PlayStation 5 pickup for this month. Moving on to the PlayStation 4, I picked up. Now, the games that I picked up for the PlayStation 4 this month, well, they're all games that I have digitally, but I want them physically back into the library, and they're all quite important titles. Well, important titles for me anyway. So, starting off that, we have The Witcher 3, The Wild Hunt. Now, The Witcher 3 is a fantastic game. Don't need to talk too much about it. I mean, it's one of probably the best RPGs or Western RPGs we've seen in a very long time, and I honestly can't wait to get back into this again despite having played it twice before. So The Witcher 3 was picked up along the same sort of vein and sort of ways. It's again a game that I've got digitally, but I need it back into the collection physically, and that's Horizon Zero Dawn. Now, Horizon Zero Dawn it's one of my all-time favourite games. I mean, most of the games that I've picked up from this generation, the PlayStation 4 generation, are all high on my all-time games list, but Horizon Zero Dawn was something special. The gameplay, the story, the graphics, everything about this game. This is a near close 10 perfection game in my eyes, of course. I mean, everybody's got their own opinions on games, but for me this was a near perfection game, Horizon Zero Dawn, and it's back into the collection and physical. Another near perfection game for me is Uncharted 4, A Thief's End. Now, you've got to love the Uncharted games. Now, maybe Uncharted 2 is my favourite of the series. This one is a very close second. Now, obviously this one looks much better than Uncharted 2 and maybe plays a bit smoother, and it's got a great story too, but for me Uncharted 2 it probably just pips this one, but not by much. So Uncharted 4 back in the collection. And the last of the PlayStation 3 games is a game that, well, not a lot of people really enjoy, and I think it's because they didn't know what they were getting into, and that is Mafia 3. Again, another game I have in my digital collection, but now back into the physical collection because, well, I absolutely love this game. I love the fact that although you would assume that it's some sort of Grand Theft Auto clone, it's much more stealthy than that, and the soundtrack in this game blows my socks off every time I listen to it. I mean, I just love music. I'm obviously a bit older than the average bear, and, well, I love music from the late 60s and 70s, and this is just chock full of, well, that good Vietnam soundtrack. So that's the last of the PlayStation 4 games. Moving on to the next one on another system, and not Sony, we'll move on to the Wii. Anyone who watches the Better Half Box or has seen the Better Half Box knows that the Legend of the Guardians, the Owls of Ga'Hoole, made it into my Wii collection because I seem to get one of these Owl games every time I open a Better Half Box. And, well, there you go. So it's in the collection now, it's physical, and, well, what can I say? It's a game. I'm not going to dwell too much on it. If you want to see me dwell on it, watch the Better Half Boxes. Now, I did pick up for myself in the wild Resident Evil 4, the Wii edition. Now, I do have Resident Evil 4 on the PlayStation 4, the remastered one. I really wanted to enjoy Resident Evil 4, I really wanted to get into it. I found the controls on the PlayStation just too frustrating. It feels like over the shoulder but tank controls, and I don't know. I've been told that the Wii version, the Wii edition of Resident Evil 4 is probably one of the best ways to play this game, so I am absolutely looking forward to giving this a try and giving Resident Evil 4 one last chance before I finally decide it's just a collection game and it's not going to be one that I ever complete. So moving on to the next generation, we're moving on to PlayStation 3. Although I do focus on the PlayStation 2, or I'm supposed to focus on the PlayStation 2, if there's something in the wild that I must grab, then I will grab it regardless of the system it's on, as long as it's one of the systems I collect for. And of course, PlayStation 3's up next, and starting off for that, we have Sacred 2. Now, this fits into my collection strategy fine anyway, because this is a game that I never played back in the day and I don't know much about. It might be an RPG, I have no idea. I won't know until I fire it up, but if, you know what, anyone in the comments wants to give me a head up on a Sacred 2, then feel free, because I need your guys' advice before I fire it up as well. Next up, Resident Evil 5 to go along with Resident Evil 4, because I will be collecting for Resident Evil as well, because it's such an important franchise and it's one that any gamer should have a decent collection of. So Resident Evil 5 for the PlayStation 3 is in the collection. I'll probably get the remasters as well for the PlayStation 4, just purely for convenience when it comes to playing, even though most of my systems are all set up and ready to go. Next up we have Destiny, and more importantly, well, obviously this is more of a free to play game now, a game that you play online, and when I got into Destiny it was during the Taken King, or it was just before the Taken King update, and I absolutely loved this, and I loved it for one reason in particular. I can't normally play first person shooters, they give me motion sickness. Destiny for some reason didn't, and well, it blew my mind, and it was a game that I could absolutely sit down and play for hours and hours, and I'm sure I've clocked about, I don't know, it must be about 500-600 hours in Destiny alone. So I was happy to get it back into the physical collection. This is another one that I have digitally for both the PlayStation 3 and the PlayStation 4. Next up is Killzone 2. Now obviously I picked this up because I picked up Killzone 3, I think it was last month, so I'll be putting all the Killzone games into the collection. So I'll be looking out for the original Killzone, and I'll eventually get Killzone's Shadowfall, I believe it was called, and I'll get that into the collection as soon as possible as well. And next up we have Motorstorm, and again, because I picked up Motorstorm Pacific Rift maybe a month or two ago, so went out, saw this out in the wild. All of these, well, not many of them are over £2. I don't tend to go and buy expensive games at the moment because I want to bulk out the collection, and Motorstorm for a couple of pound, well, I couldn't knock that back because it sits nicely beside Motorstorm Pacific Rift and it helps build another little subset. Now, one that I picked up that was a little bit pricier, but not too pricey, but a little bit pricier, was the orange box, which contains obviously Half-Life 2, Team Fortress 2 and Portal. Now, I picked this up purely because I watched, well, Mark, Geordie Slasher Gamer, he had picked it up as well and he was raving about it. I do have Half-Life on the PlayStation 2, so having Half-Life 2 is just adding to that subset and keeping those series in together. So Half-Life 2, Team Fortress 2 and Portal all in the orange box, added to collection. And the last one for the PlayStation 3 is another game I have in digital format that I should and must have on physical, and that's The Last of Us. Probably the finest game that was made for the PlayStation 3, probably the finest game that was made for that entire generation, to be honest with you, in my opinion. Again, I mean, feel free to have a go down in the comments if you want, but this game pretty much done it all. The gameplay, the story, the graphics, this was what the game, this sort of game was what the PlayStation 3 was made for. And it was just a shame we couldn't see this type of game until the end of its life cycle, but we did. We got The Last of Us, fantastic game. It's back in my physical collection as well as my digital collection, and there we go. And that is the last of the PlayStation 3 era. So okay, so we're at the moment of truth, shall we say. Did I stick to my guns? Did I buy mostly PlayStation 2 games? Did I buy games that I haven't played before, that I've never had in my collection? And did I get any sort of Brucey bonuses when it came to bad games? And you know what? I think I did quite well this month. Certainly well for me. Now, there was obviously a big selection of games there coming in for the PlayStation 3, 4 and one for the 5. But I have got a bundle here of PlayStation 2 games that I've managed to pick up over the month. And yes, most of them cost £1 or under, which is fantastic. And well, let's just get started. First one, we have Perfect Ace Tennis, and never had it, never played it, don't know if it's a good tennis game or not, but you know what, I'll give it a try. And I do like a good tennis game as much as I like a good golf game. But there you go, it's in the collection now, and I will find out at some point if it's a good game or a bad game, because if it's a bad tennis game, well, it still fits with the remit that I kind of set for myself. Now, next up is Tony Hawk's Project 8. I never had this back in the day. I love Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3, but Tony Hawk's Project 8 is one that's completely new to me. I've never played it. Don't know if it stands up to the Tony Hawk's Pro Skater series, but hopefully it does, because it's now in my collection. Next up we have Fight Night 2004, and this obviously because if you watched previous pickups, I've picked up Fight Night Championship, or Fight Night Champion, sorry, and the other Fight Night games on the PlayStation 3, probably up there somewhere behind me at the moment, but this is part of a subset I'm collecting. I'm going to collect all the Fight Night games, and I think I've only got one more to go on that whole series. So next up is one that hits all the boxes. It's PlayStation 2. I've never had it in my collection before, and I am told that it's awful. It's one of the worst games ever. Metacritic certainly don't score it quite well, and that is Charlie's Angels, as you can see. So let's hope this one is quite as bad as they say it is, because I do love a bad game, and if I didn't, well, why would I be buying them? Next up is another one that I'm hoping is another terrible game, one I've never had in my collection, so it's hitting the things again, and we have American Chopper, and obviously based off a TV show, I believe, and if I recall rightly, they get a lot of memes as well, those guys on that cover. So American Chopper, one of my never played, never owned, and quite possibly very bad PlayStation 2 games. And again, we're hitting it again. It's all three. It's another hat trick. It's The Golden Compass, a game I've never played. Now, I loved the books, hated the movie, and if the game's as bad as the movie, then I'll be happy, because I want these bad games. I want these bad games I've never played before, and I want them in my collection. So I'm onto a winner there as far as I'm concerned. Next one up, I found out in the wild, and I had to pick it up. I didn't know whether it was going to be a bad game or not, but I hear from my good friend David, Lame Dad. Again, I'll pop his link down in the description because he's another fantastic channel. Well, Lame Dad told me this was a bad game because he reviewed it just recently, and that is Terminator 3 Rise of the Machines. A bad Arnie licensed game on the PlayStation 2, and a game I've never had before. Another, well, I'm hitting my holy grails here, people, with these bad games I've never owned on the PlayStation 2. Now, next up is not a bad game. It's a game, however, I never had in my collection, and I don't know why I didn't have it in my collection, and you might understand why when I show it. And that game is Blood Omen 2, the Legacy of Kain series. I have no idea why I didn't get this game back in the day. I loved the PlayStation games, the PlayStation 1 games. Don't know why I didn't follow them down into PlayStation 2, but I didn't. Got it now, and that one will sit happily in the collection. And next up, again in the same vein, Legacy of Kain, and this one is Defiance. I don't know if this one is any good at all. Never played it. As I said, I think this one gets sort of mixed reviews, but you know what, I'll give it a go and I'll decide before, you know, it goes into my bad game or good game category subset. The bad game subset, there's one for us all. Anyway, Legacy of Kain Defiance now in the collection, and really happy with that as well. Again, the Legacy of Kain games, Blood Omen games, I'll be happy to get them all into the collection. Next up, it's a game because it's another sort of subset of games that I'm collecting, and that's Ghost Recon 2. I do like the Ghost Recon games. I haven't played many of the older ones. Ghost Recon Wildlands, one of the more recent ones. Not the most recent one, but more recent ones. It's again one of my all-time favourite games. Again, it's not everyone's cup of tea. Not everybody likes good old stealth combat, but that suits me down to the ground, and I'm looking forward to playing that one as well. Next up is a game because I bought the second game in the series, and I bought State of Emergency, and again, as I said, haven't played the second one yet either, or the first one. But you know what, this one gets good reviews, so it's probably not going into the bad subset, unfortunately. But the second one's supposed to be quite bad, so maybe I'll have two games, same series, one good, one bad. And it's in the collection now anyway. Next up, from a series of games that I love completely, and that is The Hitman. And here we have Blood Money. Blood Money is a game that I haven't played. I didn't play Blood Money or Contracts back in the day. I loved Hitman 2. I played the original Hitman on PC, and Absolution was the next one I went on to from there, so I'm looking forward to this because I much prefer the PlayStation 2 era Hitman games. I think with the later ones they just give me too many options, and if you give me too many options I end up doing nothing. Next up's another sort of subset that I'm collecting for, and that's 007 games, and this one's Quantum of Solace on the PlayStation 2. So that will sit nicely onto that collection there. And as I said, never played Contracts, so also picked up Hitman Contracts to sit alongside Hitman 2 and Blood Money, and can't wait to get my teeth into them, as I said, because I do love the old school Hitman games. Next one up came from the Better Half box, and that's a game that I was absolutely dying to get into the collection, and it came via the Better Half box, and we have the Psychonauts. And well, I haven't played it yet, but I will get round to it. As you see, there's a lot of games there to get through. There's a lot of games in the backlog, as there is for most of us out there. But Psychonauts was a game that I needed in the collection more than anything else. It was one of those must-haves, and it came for the Better Half box. I was very, very happy about that indeed. Next up we have another second game in a series. It's The Way of the Samurai 2. Now, I've got the first game, played it way back. The Way of the Samurai was a game that I had way back when. I haven't played it in a long while. Never played the second one, so it's a PlayStation 2 game I've never had in my collection, and it sits as part of a series. Now, I know, of course, there are We have the Samurai 3 and 4 on the PlayStation 3. I will probably look into them at some point. But at the moment I've got 1 and 2. They're both the PlayStation 2 games, and there we go. Keeping with the PlayStation 2 focus, I'm glad to say so far. Next up we have The Hobbit. Again, it's going to be for another subset of games. It's going to be for Lord of the Ring games, and quite simply, this was the only one from the Hobbit novels or the Hobbit universe that I know of out there. If anyone knows of another Hobbit game, drop it down there, because this one's apparently nothing like the Two Towers and the Return of the King and Fellowship of the Ring on the PlayStation 2. Completely different type of game altogether, but I'm looking forward to it. And again, it's a Lord of the Rings game. I needed it in the collection. It's PlayStation 2, so it's a win-win-win for me. Next up is a game that I've never had. It's PlayStation 2, and it's Star Wars Starfighter. Again, never played it. Haven't played this one yet. I've played other, obviously, Jedi Starfighter and the like, but never played this one. So I'm looking forward to giving this one a go. Not hoping for too much of it. I tend to have a love-hate relationship with Star Wars games. I absolutely love Star Wars, and I tend to absolutely hate, with a few exceptions, Star Wars games. But I don't know, maybe that's just me being picky about the Star Wars universe. Next up is another game that is to sit beside another game, and that is Pirates of the Caribbean, and this is a Legend of Jack Sparrow, and I do have one of the other ones. I don't know how many Pirates of the Caribbean games were put out, but I'm looking forward to getting a few of these, because again, even if I don't like the game, if the game's bad, it's a movie franchise that I thoroughly enjoyed, so I'll be happy to have that in the collection. And that's where it is now. Now, next up is a game that's been talked about by the likes of Geordie Slasher Gamer and a few other content creators out there, a few other tubers, and that is PsyOps, and that's the Mindgate Conspiracy. Again, I haven't played this, but Mark raved about this one as well, and this is a problem with watching other people's pickup videos. You see something that you must buy for yourself, and this was one of them. So I'm looking forward to giving this one a try, because it gets decent reviews, and again, Mark knows what he's talking about usually when it comes to games, and he's a good old-fashioned Sony pony just like me, so he's not going to steer me wrong, I don't think. Now, next up we have True Crimes New York City. I have no idea. I believe it's probably going to be a GTA type clone. I only wanted it because I loved the cover art. I thought the cover art's fantastic, and you know what, it was cheap. I got it for £1. If you're gonna get a game for £1 out in the wild, you just pick it up. It's as simple as that. Not that I'm hoping that it goes up in value or anything, because these games are staying in this collection, as I've said, so that makes no difference to me. But when you see a game for £1, even if it's not your genre, you know what, just pick it up and add it to your collection. And the same goes for the next one, and it's True Crimes and it's Streets of LA. So that's both of those games. I don't think there was any more in the True Crime series, but I've got New York and LA, and they'll sit in the collection quite nicely, and I'll probably never play them. Well, you never know. I'll get close to retirement age and I'll have a backlog that I can get through. Now next up is a real-time strategy game, I believe, and it's the History Channel's Great Battles of Rome. Now I know real-time strategy games aren't everyone's cup of tea. I do absolutely love them. Now they tend to be an absolute nightmare to control on consoles. They're much better on a PC with a mouse, but you know what? I like to give them a go, and when I saw that sitting there and it was again relatively cheap, I thought I'll pick that up and I'll give it a go and see if they've improved on their real-time strategy engines on the PlayStation 2. Next up is a game that Ginger Hippy Gaming, and again link will be down in the description, he was reviewing because he picked it up and he gave it a decent little review, and I'll be honest with you, it was the box art, because the thing that attracted me about this game was absolutely the box art, and that's Geordie. Again, never played it. I have seen some gameplay from Sai over at Ginger Hippy Gaming, never played it myself. I'm looking forward to giving this a try. I also think this is one that the better half might even play, and definitely the kids at some point, so it won't go unplayed. I will try it for myself, and I'm sure this is the type of game that will go down a treat in this household anyway. Now the last two I bought for a very specific reason, and they're part of a series, and sort of series, let's say that, and we have Big Mother Truckers, and I bought Big Mother Truckers, and not only did I buy Big Mother Truckers, I bought Big Mother Truckers 2, Truck Me Harder. Now the reason I bought Big Mother Truckers and Big Mother Truckers 2, Truck Me Harder, is purely for the fact that I wanted on this channel, on this video, to say Big Mother Truckers, Big Mother Truckers 2, Truck Me Harder. I mean, you just can't say Big Mother Truckers 2 or Big Mother Truckers or Truck Me Harder enough as far as I'm concerned, and that's the only reason I picked these up. And of course Big Mother Truckers 2 is down there as one of the bad games in Metacritic, so there we go. It's a win-win-win-win-win. Anyway, that's all of the PlayStation 2, so let's move on to the next system. And of course the next system is the PlayStation 1 if you must, and I picked up this month Chase the Express. Now the reason I picked up Chase the Express is not only have I never played it before or ever heard about it before, TheRetroBear was raving about this game on a podcast just probably a week or two ago, and you know what, if TheRetroBear thinks a game's good, I'm going to give it a go. So Chase the Express for the PlayStation is, well, it's into the collection now. Now my second and last pickup for the PlayStation is Alundra 2. Fantastic game from back in the day. Did have it back in the day, so getting this back into the collection. I mean, obviously I'm not focusing on the PlayStation games at the moment while I'm focusing on the PS2. But if I see a game and this was at a good price, and if I see a game at a good price, it's like I say, you've just got to grab it. So Alundra 2 has made its way back into the physical collection, and I'm super happy about that. But that was the last of the PlayStation games, and we're on to the final of the systems that I collect for, and that is the PC. And for the PC I picked up 4 games this month. I picked up Civilization 2 because Civilization is such a fantastic series of games, and yes, I know city building isn't everyone's cup of tea, but I do enjoy a good city builder. That's why I also picked up Pharaoh and Pharaoh Gold, because obviously this one will have all the expansions on it. Mall Tycoon 3, because hey, if you're going to be a tycoon, why not have a mall? That's what I say to that. And finally, my probably happiest pickup for the PC, and that is the Battle for Middle-earth. Now, Battle for Middle-earth, as many people know, is a real-time strategy game. Good old-fashioned combat, and it's a Lord of the Ring games. So there you go. Now that was the last of the systems, almost. Because while I was going through the piles, I noticed I missed one from the PlayStation 4. And you know what? Our games, we can't show favouritism to our games, we have to show them all. And because I've seen it, he'll just have to jump into the end here. And that is Dragon Age 11. And that's the Echoes of an Elusive Age. And the reason I've picked that up is because, well, I love my RPGs and I love my JRPGs. And this will be the game that I'll be playing this month, without a doubt. This is the one that I'm going in off the back of Assassin's Creed Odyssey, so going from a Western RPG, sort of, because that's the way Assassin's Creed are going, into a JRPG, which is my total wheelhouse, and I'm looking forward to finally sitting down and playing this one. Now, other than that, I did pick up some hardware. I picked up this wonderful little Magic NS. Now, if you don't know what it is, it's quite simply a dongle that you can use, so you can use a PlayStation 4 controller on either a Nintendo Switch or a PC, or even the Neo Geo Mini. Now, I haven't used it yet, but I will be using it because I'm starting to use the PC for some games more and more often, and that's what I picked this boy up for. So I had a decent Sony PlayStation controller for when I'm playing some PC games. And the last piece of hardware, and the last pickup, well, not the last pickup, there's one after this, the last pickup that I'm showing you, and that is this boy here, the Mario Game & Watch with the colour screen. This is fantastic. I did spend a little bit more than I would normally pay on any single game, but when I saw this thing and I fired it up, the screen is delightful and the gameplay is smooth, and it's got obviously Mario 1 and 2 on it. Also a little alarm clock, so I'll never miss any gaming time if I have that set. And you know what, I might just throw in some b-roll of this being played, because I was over the moon with this. Now, as many people know, I'm not a Mario fan. I wasn't brought up with Nintendo. I was brought up Sinclair ZX Spectrum, then Sega, PC and Sony. But this is such a wonderful little thing. It looks fantastic and it plays really well. So happy to get this into the collection, because the handheld collection is growing, as you'll know, mainly through the better half box. Now, as I said, there's a giveaway. There's something I picked up that I don't need. Had to get it because of the price it was at, and this is going to one of you guys out there, and that is the Prince of Persia trilogy for the PlayStation 3. Now, as I says, I'll send this anywhere in the world. If you're over in the States, or if you're in New Zealand, Germany, France, wherever, if you want this copy, then all you have to do is drop down into the comments that you want this and tell me why you want this. Now, if there's lots and lots of people after this, then I will probably do a wheel spin. If there's only a few, I might just go for who gave me the best reason to why they deserve this. But let me know if you want this game in your collection, or these 3 games in your collection. Leave the comment down below. Tell me why you want it, that you want it, and why you want it. And we'll, within the next 2 weeks or so, we'll find out who's getting this, where this is going for its new home. So I hope somebody out there wants it, because you know, I couldn't leave it sitting on the shelf at the price I saw it for, and I didn't want a reseller getting it and bumping up the price when, well, collectors should be looking after each other, as you saw from earlier on in the pickups video when you saw the gifts. We do. As collectors, we look after each other, and that's partly what that's about as well. So there you go, that's all the pickups for the month of August, and I done it. I managed to stick mostly to PlayStation 2, mostly to games that I've never had in my collection before, and I even managed to get some classic really bad games in there as well. Now, if you want to talk about any of these games, any of these pickups, then down in the comments. I'll love to hear what you guys have to say, and of course, if you've enjoyed this, well, give me a thumbs up. I know Super Jimtendo will give me a great big thumbs up, because he just loves his pickup videos. And of course, if you want to see more from the channel, not just the pickups, but the other stuff, the gameplay, the Nintendo adventures, the A to ZX of the Spectrum, then the subscription button, always there, always free. You can always change your mind if I start making videos that you're not interested in. But that's it, and thanks again for watching and making it all the way here, and until next time, as always, cheerio.